View of The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. And today we're looking at chapter 18, which is titled When You Believe Anything. Appealing stories and appealing fictions, and why stories are more powerful than statistics. All right, let's get into it. You are most welcome. Please sit back, relax as we delve into this. Imagine an alien dispatched to Earth, and his job is to keep tabs on our economy. So he circles around New York or above New York, trying to size up the economy and how it has changed between 2007 and 2009. And on New Year's Eve of 2007, he actually hovers around Times Square in New York, and he sees tens of thousands of happy partygoers surrounded by bright lights, monstrous billboards, fireworks, and TV cameras. And it looks about the same, right? In 2019, the same thing. So many people, happy partygoers, surrounded by billboards, TV cameras, and all of that. So everything looks the same, and you cannot see much difference between 2007 and 2009. He only sees roughly the same number of New Yorkers hovering around the city, right? Or hustling around the city. Those people are surrounded by the same number of office buildings, the same number of desks, computers, internet connections. He even looks outside the city of New York, and he sees the same number of factories, hospitals, warehouses, schools, the number of trucks, and so on. He goes a little closer to the ground and sees the same universities teaching the same topics and handing out the same degrees to the same number of people. Everything looks the same to this alien. He sees the same number of patents protecting the same groundbreaking ideas. He notices that technology has improved. Anyways, everyone in 2009 now carries a smartphone that did not exist in 2007. Computers are now faster, medicine is better, cars get better mileage, solar and fracking technology has advanced, social media has grown exponentially. That is like the major difference that he sees between 2007 and 2009. Then he flies around the country and he sees the same. Around the globe, he comes to Nigeria, he sees the same. He goes to London, he sees the same. He goes to Pretoria in South Africa, he sees the same. He goes to Uganda, Sierra Leone. Like, okay, technology has advanced. People are now using better phones and all of that. But then the economy is about the same shape, but even better in 2000 and maybe even better in 2007 as it was in 2009 as it was in 2007. He concludes this way. Then he looks at the numbers, because he thought that, okay, now that technology is better, at least something has improved. Maybe people's lives will be better. People will be earning more income. There will be less unemployment and all of that. Then he was shocked to see that US households are now $16 trillion poorer in 2009 than in 2007. That means that people were richer 2 years before than they were in this 2009. Then he's dumbfounded that 10 million more Americans are unemployed. And he's in disbelief when he learns the stock market is worth half what it was 2 years before. He can't believe that people's forecast of their economic potential has plunged, right? And he says, I don't get it. What happened? I've seen the cities, I've looked at the factories. You guys have the same knowledge, the same tools, the same ideas. Nothing has changed. But why are you poorer? Why are you doing worse now than you were doing 2 years ago? Or why were you doing better 2 years ago than you are doing now? Why are you more pessimistic now, 2 years after? Even though everything seems to be the same, apart from technology, right? There was one change the alien couldn't see between 2007 and 2009. And this change is the stories that we told ourselves about the economy. So this book is about the stories that you tell yourself, what you believe in your head versus what reality is, right? There are so many of us that do not know so many things, but we never agree that we do not know these things. Rather, we cook up stories in our head because our heads cannot be blank. You have to hold on to a belief. You have to hold on to something. There is no vacuum in nature. So whether you're holding on to the right belief or the wrong belief, the truth is that you have to hold on to something. You have to hold on to a story. So what stories are you telling yourself? Or what stories has anybody or persons told you that has formed a part of your belief system that you're finding it difficult to let go instead of admitting that you do not know? So stories matter a lot. And that is why you should guard your heart and mind. Thank you. I'm from South Africa. All right. That's why you should guard your heart and mind from receiving just anything, because the mind is so powerful. I made a video, I think I'll release it on my TikTok page tomorrow, about the mind. That the mind is like a magnet. It attracts whatever you feed it on, right? Whatever you think. If you think about something long enough, whether it is you thinking about it or you're allowing somebody else to suggest anything to you, the more you keep listening to it, the more you keep rationalizing it, and you keep thinking before you eventually hold on to that thing as being true, right? I want to move a bit faster now. So in 2009, we stopped believing that story. In 2007, we told a story about the stability of housing prices, the prudence of bankers, and the ability of financial markets to accurately price risk. But in 2009, we stopped believing that story. Maybe some years ago, you believed that you could make it. When you were in the university, you were so much in high spirits. You believed that once you graduated from the university, you had the potential, the ability, and everything to be successful in life. You told yourself a beautiful story. But what happened many years after? You looked at everything that is going on in the world. Unemployment rates, the bad economy, people dying, kidnappings, people who have beautiful skills, who are so skillful, but who earn peanuts. And you allowed yourself to become pessimistic, like we learned yesterday. You allowed yourself to become pessimistic. Your spirit was dampened. And you held on to this new story that you are seeing based on the things around you. No, that's not the kind of spirit that you should have. The story that you tell yourself is very powerful. Yes, more powerful than the story that anybody can tell you. Other than clinging to a new narrative, we had an identical, if not greater, capacity for wealth and growth in 2009 as we did in 2007. The capacity for growth, the capacity for success that you have now, that the economy seems to be in shambles, was the same capacity for success that you had then. But you allowed the story you told yourself to be manipulated, to be controlled, directly or indirectly, probably in a very subtle way, to be controlled by the belief system of other people, to be controlled by what you see. And then your spirit is dampened. You are now second guessing yourself. You don't believe in your own abilities anymore. You need to pick up that story that you told yourself initially. The story that you can make it, that the future is bright, that you can be wealthy in life, that you can make a positive impact in life. You need to start telling yourself that story. Probably you even look all over social media. You see people doing all kinds of illegal things, The value system is so degenerated. People can hide behind keypads to throw words, hurtful words at other people. And you are beginning to lose hope that, this generation is gone. There is no remedy. No. The story that you tell yourself is very, very important. When we think about the growth of economies, businesses, investments, and careers, we tend to think about tangible things. How much stuff we do have? How much stuff do we have? and what are we capable of. But stories are by far the most powerful force in the economy. They are the fuel that can let the tangible part of the economy work, or the brake that holds our capabilities back. So the stories that you tell yourself will determine whether you're going to keep making progress in life towards your goal, or you're going to limit yourself, put a cap on your own abilities. At the personal level, there are two things to keep in mind about a story-driven world when managing your money. Don't forget that everything we're talking about, we're actually relating it to money, right? Number one story you need to tell yourself is that the more you want something to be true, the more likely you are to believe a story that overestimates the odds of it being true. Somebody was asked, a centenarian, she was asked, I think it was a she. Yes, she was asked so many years ago, what was the happy? She was referring to a day in 1918 agreement that ended the World War II, because she confidently believed that there would never be war again in the world. But 21 years after World War II, the Armistice Day referred to the end of World War I. 21 years after, there was World War II, right? Killing 75 million people. She believed that there would never be war again, because that was what she wanted to believe. That was the story she told herself, or the story that they were being told at that time. There are many things in life that we think are true because we desperately want them to be true. If you think that, oh, the unemployment rate is so high and all of that, and that is all you are feeding your mind with. When you switch on the TV, that's what you see, how many people are unemployed, right? Then you begin to desperately believe that that is actually true. Even when you get an offer to attend a job, wrong with my network this night, you're already telling your mind that you cannot be selected, right? There are so many appealing fictions, And when it comes to money, you believe forecasts, people's forecasts that, oh, there's going to be recession, there's going to be this, there's going to be that. Right. To the point that you don't even want to do your due diligence to actually see that this investment can work out. See, there will always be bad stories, sad stories all over the world. You have to intentionally tell yourself positive stories, because that is what is going to keep you going. I like this example here. You remember in one of the previous chapters, we learned about this guy, Bernie Madoff. He was a Ponzi scheme guru. In fact, he was the second Ponzi scheme guru the world has ever known. His name was Bernie Madoff. In hindsight, his Ponzi scheme should have been obvious. Like, how can I give you 100,000 naira today, and by next week you are giving me 1 million naira? Okay, how are you making your money? What are you investing in, right? But people are blind to that, because just as the author puts it in this book, he told a good story and people wanted to believe it. If I want you to bring your money now, see, I'll just cook up a very sweet story that I know you want to hear. That's why many marketers lie. They tell you what you want to hear. Because if they tell you the truth, that CEO, in every business, there's risk. I'm not promising you that this is 100% guaranteed, right? It can be 50-50. But if the odds are in your favor, you are going to make very good money. You get good returns, right? You know that in life, we just risk things. There is no 100% certainty. If he told you that, you would run away like, please, I don't want any risk. But this Ponzi scheme guy knew what people wanted to hear. And do you know how many Ponzi schemes have come up? Even after this guy was jailed, he had to go to jail eventually. Let me remind you a little bit about this guy, because that can also be another lesson. This guy was doing well successfully. He had a legitimate business before he dabbled into Ponzi scheme. He was doing well. His company was described as being very successful. He had many employees. The business was superb. But greed took over because he did not have the willpower to say enough. He didn't know where to draw the line. You know, just like they said, oh, People who have power, they always want more power. The rich would always want more money and things like that. He allowed himself to be overtaken by greed, and he was eventually caught and he went to jail. But for so many years, he reported returns that never varied. These reports of returns were audited by a relatively unknown accounting firm, and he refused to release much information on how the returns were achieved. And the people who were investing in his Ponzi scheme did not care to really find out, to investigate, to dig deep, because he was telling them the sweet stories that they wanted to hear. Just bring your money. This is a big part of why room for error, flexibility, and financial independence, important themes discussed in previous chapters, are indispensable in life. We've talked about this in previous chapters. Leave room for error. Be flexible. Know when to say enough. Otherwise, you're going to get yourself into trouble. Let me say the second thing, right? What are we talking about? We're talking about stories that you need to tell yourself at a personal level. Two things to keep in mind about a story-driven world when managing your money. We've talked about number one. Number two, everyone has an incomplete view of the world, but we form a complete narrative to fill the gaps. And the author used an example of his daughter, who was 1 year old at the time that he wrote this book. He said that the daughter was curious about everything, and then she learned so fast. But sometimes he would think about all the stuff that the daughter could not comprehend. The daughter had no idea that her dad had to go to work every morning. The daughter had no idea about bills, about careers, promotions and savings, retirement and everything. About taxes, the daughter had no idea. But her world was in dark. She did not wander around in confusion, wondering where did daddy go. She just formed this concept, this belief in her head that probably daddy is always going somewhere. Okay, daddy is gone now. Daddy, like I said, there is no vacuum in nature. My husband was saying one time that how beautiful would it be that we can know what children are thinking about per time. Even a newborn baby that is just looking at you like this. Their brain is not blank. Their world is not dark. It is filled with something, their own belief system. If you are moving about, they probably formed a notion in their head about what you are doing, right? And that is the same thing that we also do. We don't know everything. We don't know everything. But we have a notion in our head about what we think is true, what we actually think is going on about money or investments or anything. You just form this notion in your head. All of us, no matter our age, we do the same thing. Even though his daughter knows very little, she doesn't realize it, that she knew very little, because she tells herself a coherent story about what's going on based on the little that she, right? Just like my daughter, I don't know what I don't know. You don't know what you don't know. I am just as susceptible to explaining the world through the limited set of mental models I have at my disposal. So you are acting based on the limited knowledge you have, based on your wisdom. And that's why you should always strive to learn more, to think more. Now I'm going to jump to the end. It is so comforting that we are tempted to tell ourselves stories about how much control we have in other parts of our life, like money. Kahneman once laid out the path these stories take. Number one, when planning, we focus on what we want to do and can do, neglecting the plans and skills of others whose decisions might affect our outcomes. So success, I said it some time ago, that success is not the result of your own abilities, your decisions alone. There are so many other factors, other people's decisions and choices that affect your own. That's why you should be careful with the people you surround yourself with, the people that are speaking to you, that are feeding you with stories. Number two, both in explaining the past and in predicting the future, we focus on the causal role of skill and neglect the role of luck. I don't really like the concept of luck, right? But the Bible describes luck as time and chance. Because sometimes there is a divine force that influences the outcome of our lives, right? You may have prepared for something, you may have worked, you may have studied for that exam. And at the end of the day, you see that you did not pass it. What happened? Did something go wrong? Number three, we focus on what we know and neglect what we do not know, which makes us overly confident in our beliefs. Be open to learning. We don't wander around blind and confused. We have to think the world we operate in makes sense based on what we happen to know. It'd be too hard to get out of bed in the morning. It would be too hard to get out of bed in the morning if you felt otherwise. But the alien circling the earth that we talked about at the beginning, that alien is you. You are going around the earth. You are going from one place to another, and you are thinking, what happened? Why is the world poorer now than it was some years ago? Why is it that it was more peaceful some years ago in the world than it is now? Why was there so much sanity in the world some years ago than we have now? It is because of the different stories. The one who is confident he knows what's happening based on what he sees, but turns out to be completely wrong because he can't know the stories going on inside everyone else's head. And that alien is all of us. You can't know the story going on in everybody's head, but at least you can control the story going on in your own head. Think positive stories about yourself, about your life. Don't become a pessimist, right? The dream, the aspirations, the hope that you used to have some years before now. You told yourself a beautiful story. You had a positive outlook to life. Don't allow all of that to die. Keep that story alive because stories are more important than statistics. Let TV stations or everybody all over social media be reporting that there is recession. By December 2025, the world is going to be 75% poorer. Unemployment rate is going to rise to 80%. Those are statistics. Don't lose sight of your own story. That's irrespective of whatever is going on with the economy. I rise, I succeed, I grow, I thrive. I will make it. Let me tell you this before I go. See, it all depends on what you want to believe. And that's the truth. Recently, I met somebody and he told me that, there was somebody that has 80 million naira lying fallow. Person does not really know what to do with it, right? 80 million naira lying fallow in Nigeria, in a country where people are saying, things are tough, the economy is fine. That is the general outlook, right? But in spite of that, you need to tell yourself stories that, see, in spite of the bad economy, hardship, or whatever, some people are making it. They are thriving. So it depends on the story you want to believe. There will always be bad stories, good stories. Choose the one that you believe. When somebody is saying he has 80 million naira lying fallow, as in it is lying fallow, he doesn't really know what to do with it. It tells you that there is money where there is money. Those who have this money have this money. Those who are doing well are doing well. If you go to the airport right now, you will see crowd. People who want to travel. You think it is cheap to travel? You think it is cheap? Let me not even tell you. When last did I go to the US? Like 2 years ago, thereabouts. American tickets to Chicago from Lagos was like $4,000 per person. Now convert that to naira. And when you go to the airport, you will see crowd. The plane was full. Where is the money coming from? They are not aliens, right? So choose the story that you want to believe. Now, the reality is that your current situation may not look like it, right? But don't lose sight of that story. The story of possibility. I just need to hammer this. Because most of the time, it is not about what is happening around us. It is about what you have in your head. It is about your mindset. It is about your belief system. Choose to believe whatever you want to believe. Whatever you don't want to believe, discard it. Don't even smell it. Don't even open somebody's page that will counter your good belief, your positive mindset. Don't go near it. Do you understand? Be very, very intentional about the stories you tell yourself and the stories that you allow other people to tell you. All right, let me stop here before I become too passionate about this. Thank you very much. God bless you. Thank you for tuning in. Please don't forget to like this video, share your comment with me in the comment section below, and please subscribe to this channel in case you are yet to subscribe. I remain Olaide Agbaje, also known as First Lady, and on this channel, I inspire you to live intentionally. We'll come together again tomorrow by God's grace as we review chapter 19. We're almost done. Don't forget that after this book, we are treating atomic habits, right? Chapter 19 says, all together now, what we've learned about the psychology of your own money. We're almost at the end. Thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow. Until then, be intentional. Bye. You all are welcome.